My name is Huseyin Erten, and I'm the Senior Policy Advisor for International Financial Affairs. The main mission of the Foundation is to seek ship-based platforms for humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations. Those ships will have state-of-the-art medical facilities, airlifting capabilities, to be able to create rapid responses whenever there's a disaster anywhere on the planet. The concept is based on setting up a coalition of nations that will share the risk and share the benefits at the same time. So outside the disasters, these ship platforms will provide ongoing medical assistance to host nations, creating regular visits and helping the people in need. How I got involved with the foundation goes back 6 years ago. In one of my trips to the United States, a common friend introduced me to the president, Timothy Keegan. He's a true visionary and leader. He served in the military. He's got a banking and an insurance background. So understanding that we got common belief systems and common backgrounds, we immediately bonded. And I truly believed in the vision of the foundation since then, because in my opinion, it stands for what US actually is all about. Helping the people in need, create a peaceful world, and doing it with consensus. And I've been working at the foundation since then. The world of geopolitics is a really complex space. At times you find yourself having to establish those complicated equations with multifaceted and multi-layered strategies. You need to stay ahead of your game. You need to plan for everything before you launch a course of action. You need to be perseverant, dedicated, vigilant to your long-term objectives. You need to constantly adapt to ever-changing circumstances at the same time. So this starts nurturing your people skills at the same time, because you interact with a lot of nations and cultures globally. You develop a empathetical skill. In addition to that, it's a space of conflicting realities. While staying focused on your long-term objectives, you need to know to change constantly on a daily basis sometimes. Of course, this is a challenging space. And the kind of traits and the skill sets you develop, you learn to be a better leader in what you do in your business life. You learn to be risk-averse, prudent, plan ahead, and manage crisis better than most of the people in your field. So this has been helping me a lot all along, and I'm planning on continuing to use it because I'm still active in the geopolitical space. I've been involved with a lot of projects, but to name a few, I was the CEO and president of a real estate development company in Turkey. At one stage, I had 650 people on my payroll. I did 7 innovations in the market, including 2 mortgage products. The other project that I can mention is I've been involved with Ukraine back in 2003 and 4. We created a financing of $2.1 billion working with a top 3 global bank to the Ukrainian government. Another project that I can mention is I've been part of an Italian state-owned foundation. It was about rehabilitation of healthcare systems for countries, mainly in the Middle East. That was significant. We achieved a lot of good progress, showing the good diplomatical skills of the Western society. And we cured kids that were suffering from thalassemia and leukemia. The other thing I can mention is I've been involved with the Turkish Presidential Office, working with the economy team between 2016 and 2017. And we pre-announced the dollar to Turkish lira rate, which was a major concern, and we achieved our objectives. And the other thing that I can mention is I've been part of the Joint Task Force Italy for COVID-19 in an unofficial capacity through my associates. And I've done the data and experience sharing between the state of Italy and the United States government. I've been operating in the capital markets for over 30 years in multi-disciplines. So over the years, I have seen the need for tackling a disconnect we have between what I call the Wall Street and the project sponsors. So starting working on this 4 years ago, I decided to publish a series of books. The main title is called Unlocking Capital, because my mission is to show people to increase financial literacy so that they can access capital more. And I've written 4 books. The first book is called The Power of Bonds in Project Finance, which talks about the whole process of bond issuances in project finance. The second book is Being an Insider Myself, operating out of Luxembourg. It talks about any and all Luxembourg financial ecosystem has to offer for sponsors, whether they want to raise equity or they want to raise debt. The third book is called How to Speak the Language of Wall Street. I literally talked about anything and everything about finance and capital markets, every discipline, with a comprehensive glossary at the end that includes the industry jargon, so that I'm hoping that the project sponsors can have more meaningful conversations with capital market professionals like myself. The fourth book is called How to Structure Bankable and Bondable Projects. To me, it's the most important book of the series. I have reverse engineered credit rating documents of major rating agencies, created 280 questions out of those, and provided detailed guidelines for each and every question. It talks about the credit underwriting concept and will handhold any project sponsor that wants to create a bankable or a bondable project structure, creating its projects as an institutional grade asset class. It not only provides a guide for structuring the project, it also provides a guide for good corporate governance, post-financing. We have a lot of white papers about good corporate governance, but I believe I was able to achieve a practical guide on what each project sponsor has to do after they raise the capital. How I give back to my community is I support foundations in the United States, mostly military and security apparatus associated foundations. I also provide support to street animals, to shelters. And the other thing that I do is I try to show guidance to the people around me about the things that I know, about the topics that I'm expert on. And I think that the biggest contribution that I will make will be at the time when I die. Because I recently did my last testament and will on the 12th of December, 2023. I chose the date 12th of December because that was the day that my father passed away back in 1995. He was working with the US military when he was at his military service in Turkey, in a division called Jusmat. He saw the US military and the servicemen as his true brothers and sisters, the same way that I see from my perspective. So I'll be leaving 90% of every asset, any holdings or wealth to those foundations. And that motivates me a lot in whatever I do in my business life. Currently, I am structuring and negotiating projects on behalf of my European clients and investors as I operate out of Europe as a licensed fund manager. But I'd like to spend more time in the United States if my personal circumstances will allow. By doing that, I'm planning on creating more business ventures. I'm currently designing 4 financial products with US capital market participants. I'm planning on implementing those products and launch more products after that. I'll continue to work on geopolitics, continue to do my passion, which is advocating for US interests and values globally. I'll try to create bigger impact and add on to whatever I build up so far. One other thing that I have in mind is to launch initiatives, economic initiatives at the county and state level, and try to create as much wealth as I can so that when I'm gone, those will be left to the foundations and the associations I mentioned. I think my biggest endeavor outside of work is geopolitics, because it's not a work according to what I do. I consider that as a selfless act, helping and trying to contribute to US supremacy and leadership globally, which is in my humble opinion is the best thing for humanity. I've been making some recent moves. I wrote a book called A Call to Action to G7. The book's name is Prosperity Bonds Agency. I have proposed an overall financial architecture for the G7 to establish as another multilateral financial institution. It's about several nations coming together to share the risk so that they share the outcome, the prosperity as well. It's about creating a faster and more efficient capital deployment strategy. I'm also working on another issue, which is about homelessness. I've been looking and analyzing that issue since 2011, and I believe I got a very tangible and solid proposal, creating industrial towns all over the United States where we can have our homeless people live and work there, because every single person that I've spoken to over these years has always stated their intention to be back to life, to be contributing back to the United States economy and its people. So that's another endeavor that I have, working with the Coalition of Hope Foundation. I'm trying to establish a committee dedicated for this purpose. And 2 other books that I'm working on. One is called Value Politics. I coined the term in the preface of my last book, The Prosperity Bonds Agency. Because I think it's time now to change the definition of geopolitics. I think it is a concept of the last century. In this global age, in this digital age, we see a lot of interactions between a lot of nations and cultures on a daily, hourly basis. So we need to design policies in line with the expectations of everybody, the whole humanity. And we cannot just design those strategies in line with the geographical or political concepts and structures that we are having today. So that needs a definition, an update. We need to understand that a lot of people share the same common belief systems, values, and a vision for a shared future today. So I'll be talking about this value politics in that book, try to collaborate on that and try to enlarge on the concept to give some perspective. And the last endeavor that I have is actually something that I'm really having a lot of fun out of. It's called Not So Big Ideas for a Nation of Miracles. What I'm going to do in that book is propose disruptive, unrealistic concepts for the whole US economy. People will believe that those propositions will not be realistic, hard to implement, but actually I will remind them of what kind of miracles this great nation has accomplished in the past, starting from how George Washington created liberty for the country. What were the odds for that? Or the mega structures that US Army Corps of Engineers have built, or the US military. It was ranked 19 back in 1939. Romanian military was more powerful than the US military. Just merely after 6 years, comes 1945, the US military is ranked as #1 globally. So I will remind people about the miracles that this nation has achieved, and I'll be talking about concepts such as how can we establish a sovereign wealth fund in the United States? How can we create asset backing for the United States dollars? How can we reduce the national debt? How can we create agricultural land out of deserts that we have over here? How can we create a development bank that mirrors what Development Finance Corporation does for overseas countries and projects? So those will be very disruptive concepts. I'm planning to have a lot of pushbacks, but like I said earlier, we see problems as opportunities, and I'm planning to create some ignition and stimulus in the people's hearts and minds about what US can achieve, and isn't that the time to have new concepts in our economy. I don't think I came across one single experience that taught me the most. Maybe out of the thousands of experiences I had, a few of them are significant, but they didn't just teach me one lesson. They taught me multiple lessons in common. The first thing I can say is conflicting realities might coexist. The second thing is the world is full of abundance, not redundancy. The third thing is US is more powerful than what people think or tend to think. I've seen it firsthand. The system of God is phenomenal, and it might be closer to you than what you might think. And maybe one other thing that I can add to this question is, I might not be talking about one experience that taught me the most, but I can tell you one experience that changed my life. Back in 1986, I was 11 years old and I watched the Top Gun, and my life has changed since then. Some of the historical events that I've been part of, I can talk about. Back in 2017, working after 6 months, I brought significant leaders of the Jewish and the Arab community to Istanbul. We talked about Palestine. We talked about the solutions. And it was impactful. It was a successful meeting. And after a few months, you saw the US administration talking about the Abraham Accord. So I must say that I have like a drop in the ocean kind of a contribution to that process. That was that's I think the first thing that I can mention. The second thing is, as I mentioned, I've been in Ukraine in 2003 and 4, and I've seen the Ukrainian people, their desire to be part of the Western civilization. I witnessed that firsthand because I was involved with a variety of different things, from defense industry applications to banking. It was an historical experience. I think the third thing I can mention is I was part of the Italian Joint Task Force COVID-19, unofficially through my associates in Europe. I was exchanging data and experience on an hourly basis with the US government through dedicated channels, trying to help combat the fight. We achieved a few phenomenal things, and I think one of the things that I can mention is we fought with the prices of ventilators. The price of a ventilator went up from $5,500 to $52,000 within 2.5 weeks. And doing what we always do, we were able to bring it down to $10,000 within less than a month. And I think the last thing that I can mention is I was part of the Kabul evacuation efforts of 2021, HKA. I was one of the early people that joined the effort. I found myself in a WhatsApp group of 25 people. Mostly are my associates from the security apparatus in the United States. I saw bravery. I saw why American people are good-hearted people. Because when you experience firsthand the phenomenal things that I witnessed, you actually truly be proud of yourself about the cause that you dedicated your life to. I saw associates emptying their bank accounts to save their people out there. I saw people leaving their jobs in New York City, running law firms, going all the way down to Kabul, trying to help the people there. Maybe there are other phenomenal things that I've been part of, but I think I can comfortably mention those 4 projects or historical events that I was part of. Being part of Marquee Husu, first of all, is a humbling and honoring experience. It establishes authority because you know you are part of this club, not because of anything else, but based on meritocracy. You're there because of your merits. That gives you self-confidence and re-energizes you for your endeavors, whether in the business life or in my position, in my geopolitical life too. It of course, ignites respect and admiration from others around you. And I have tremendously benefited from being part of this great club of people. And foremost, in my special case, gratitude. It reminds me that no good deed, no service, or no good contribution has gone unnoticed. Thank you.